Daredevil Number One. Although this is technically the 613th issue in the legacy numbering, so I'm so glad Marvel does that. I like to know where stuff lands chronologically. This new number one is written by Chip Zdarsky and art by Marco Checchetto, and we just left Charles Soule Daredevil run. It ended with Matt Murdock getting hit by a car, and he is in a coma. And then we had this 5-issue miniseries called Man Without Fear, written by Jed MacKay, and that miniseries was not that great. Basically because they didn't really have that much story to cover. It was basically Matt Murdock in the hospital recovering, and then after 5 issues later, he is recovered and left the hospital. So when we're picking up in this issue, the lingering plot threads that still have to be resolved is that the Kingpin is still the mayor of New York, and we gotta take him down, right? We also have Matt Murdock's magical twin brother out there, who's not his real twin brother, but he's sort of like has been magically conjured up, and I don't know if they're gonna circle back to this, but it has to be resolved eventually, right? And Matt Murdock, he just got this serious injury. He was in a coma, and he's still kind of injured, still a little hurt, still recovering when this issue picks up. So let's dive into the story. So we open up and we're in this kind of grimy bar, and Matt Murdock is talking to this girl who has a tramp stamp, by the way. Don't miss that. And they are chatting, and she notices Matt Murdock is popping some pain pills because Matt Murdock is still recovering. And I like this little exchange they have. She asks if she can have one, and Matt Murdock is like, sorry, that would be illegal. I can't tell if he's being flirtatious or he's being a rule stickler here. Then we have a flashback to when Matt Murdock was a child and his dad drops him off at the church because I guess he did something wrong at school. And the priest there is talking to Matt, and basically what happened was some bully stole one of his friend's baseball cards, and Matt Murdock kind of broke into this kid's place and stole the cards back. But he got caught. But Matt is like making the argument that he was doing the right thing because this kid shouldn't have had these cards in the first place. But the priest is like, well, you shouldn't have got caught then. Then we jump back to the present day, and Matt Murdock has picked up this girl from the bar, and they have just had sex, I assume, and they are kind of in the aftermath of making love and whatnot, and they're kind of chatting each other up, and maybe they're going to exchange numbers and talk to each other again in the future. But Matt Murdock doesn't often pick up random girls in Daredevil comics, so I like this new kind of direction for Matt Murdock. I like seeing the guy get laid sometimes, So then we go onto the street, and there is this tough as nails cop, and he is like really serious. He is definitely not a corrupt cop, where some of these other cops maybe are, and they're talking about this murder, and he's pointing to this blood splash, and they're trying to figure that out. Then we jump back to the past, and with this priest and some more interactions with Matt Murdock when he started to go blind. Then we're back now in the present, and we have some more of Matt Murdock, and he changes into the Daredevil costume. He's out on the street, and we have some beautiful artwork here. Look at this one splash page here. Beautiful. I love this page. The artwork is so good in this book. So Daredevil is running through the streets, he's sort of monitoring things. There's this liquor store robbery in progress. Daredevil jumps into action, fights some of these criminals. He's beating them up, but he's not 100% yet because he's still kind of injured from being in a coma for the last few weeks. But he's fighting these guys. All of a sudden, there's an explosion that goes off, and we start hearing police sirens. So then Daredevil has to bounce. He's got to get out of here. Then we have some more flashbacks. This time we have Matt Murdock as the Daredevil. When he was just kind of starting out, he has that all-black costume, and he's talking to that same priest, and they're kind of in disagreement. But Matt Murdock is kind of making the argument that Jesus drove the money changers out from the temple with a whip. Isn't violence justified sometimes? But the priest is kind of saying that Matt Murdock is addicted to violence, and they kind of have this disagreement. Then we learn through the news that of those burglars that Daredevil had a confrontation with earlier, 2 of them have been arrested, and the 3rd has died from reported head trauma. And then we see Matt Murdock back in his apartment covered in blood, and he is just like resting and recuperating. But the question is that did Daredevil accidentally kill one of these guys? Was he too overzealous when he was fighting them earlier this issue? Or maybe it just was the the explosion that did it in, and it wasn't Daredevil, but maybe Daredevil is now going to be blamed for this. And that is how this issue ends. And I have to say, I really liked it. The artwork is top-notch, really good Daredevil art, and the story from Chip Zdarsky I really did enjoy. Sometimes I find Chip Zdarsky can be a little bit too wordy, but I did not find that in this issue. I thought he had the right amount of dialogue. I liked Matt Murdock and that girl in their interaction and them going back to Matt's apartment later. I like this new cop character. I like Daredevil out on the streets fighting these criminals. I like where the direction of this book is going. I thought this was a fantastic debut issue. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. This sounds like a good time to jump onto Daredevil with this brand new #1.